All right, I need you all to buckle in and get ready because we're gonna go on a trip. This is something that I don't want everyone to focus on every little detail because it'll drive you crazy. I want you to understand the process. This is going to be recorded. It'll be a separate micro module. So just go along with me, and I'll probably, when I get to the calculator, it's quite complex, and I'll probably do a micro module just on the calculator at some point. So but it offers some really valuable information I want you all to see and understand. So,
hey, it's Mike here, and we just launched version 7 of our Amazon training course, where we walk you through the process of how we sold just in the last 30 days, our first 30 days, over 1,000 products with the brand new ranking strategies that we're now showing to the public. We've trained over 1,000 students, and last year alone we did over $3.2 million online. And if you go to my site, put your credit card away, enter just your first name and your email address, I'll immediately send you a series of free training videos that walk you through the process.
What I'm about to show you, this pay-per-click thing is just, it's getting more and more complex with Amazon. And I say that not because pay-per-click itself is complex, it's not, but ranking is become so convoluted these days. You know, literally 4 months ago, you could do, if you knew you had to get 15 units a day to get to page 1, you could do that on a giveaway or whatever, and you would get there. Now, the weight that Amazon puts on deeply discounted product sales versus pay-per-click sales, it's changing, and we have to get more creative. The straight 15 units a day, no matter how you get them, whether it's deeply discounted or full price, it doesn't kind of work anymore. So what we did when we launched our last product was we said, we're just going to do a pay-per-click launch. We're not going to do Facebook. We're not going to do giveaway. We're not going to do anything. We're going to put all our money into pay-per-click. So that's one thing. And what I'm going to show you is exactly what that pay-per-click strategy is. And it's the same pay-per-click strategy I would use even if I was using Facebook or I was doing giveaways. I would just spend less money. And you're going to see with the tool that I've created, you're going to be able to play with those dollars and see what makes the most sense. This is really, really cool. I'm really excited about this. I've never seen this taught before, good, bad, or indifferent, but we are going to go in the weeds, so get ready. All right, so pay-per-click, right? It's really important because when I hear people talk about, oh, my ACoS is 35%, that's amazing. Listen, pay-per-click isn't about making money on every sale generated by the sponsored ad. That's not what it's for. Pay-per-click is used to make your product relevant. So if someone types in garden hose, your sponsored ad comes up and they buy it, that's just like using a 2-click URL for garden hose. But you get more juice because you're paying Amazon for that. So, and you're getting a full price sale. So there's more juice when you get sales that way. But it's not about that one sale and whether or not you made money on that one sale. And you're going to see from the calculator that I show you why this is important. People get wrapped around that. They're like, oh, I'm losing money every sale. Well, of course you are. The point of, I don't want to, especially at a launch, like pay-per-click is about getting your product ranked. If your sales are exclusively from pay-per-click, well, then you're doing something wrong. You're going to see that statistically, 25% of your sales, or on average, Amazon, 25% of the sales on all sellers, on average, 25% of it comes from pay-per-click. So that means if you're just doing pay-per-click, 75% of your sales are organic, 25% are pay-per-click. So you got to spread. The number you use is not ACoS on a keyword level or campaign level. It's profitability as a whole, right? I mean, that's the key. So you could be at 100% ACoS, but that keyword could drive 90% of sales, and then all of a sudden you are profitable as a whole. You may not be profitable on that keyword, but as a whole you be profitable. It really depends on how many sales, organic sales, that one campaign or that one keyword drives. That determines your profitability, not your ACoS. I'm hoping that makes sense. It's really important you understand pay-per-click is not to generate, the intent is not to generate sales. It's to generate relevancy for a specific keyword, right? I said all that. So the other benefit you get, and this is is all pay-per-click sales are verified reviews. So that means the reviews will all be verified, not unverified, which then gives your 5-star, this bizarre formula that Amazon uses with 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, how they're weighted, and that depends on whether it's verified, unverified, who it's coming from, whatever. There's this complicated, convoluted algorithm that determines what your 4.2 or 4.6 stars. Because if you notice, if you did the math and you're like, oh, I got a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, the average isn't the average. Amazon uses a bunch of different variables for that. So one of the things we do know is every pay-per-click sale is a verified review sale, which is good because you'll get better, higher ranking, star ratings because it'll be weighted heavier for a verified review than unverified review. That's a big thing. And there is a value to that. There's a huge value to that over deeply discounted giveaways, especially when you launch. And pay-per-click sales will definitely be, so when I say on average 25% of someone's sales, so let's say you did 100 sales. On average, 25 of those on a well-run or on an average Amazon seller, 25 of those 100 sales were generated from pay-per-click. The rest were organic based on ranking and whatever else, okay? So that's going to be flipped around to start. Typically, it's going to be 75% of your sales initially, or even 90% or whatever. Even the first few days, it might be 100%. Will be pay-per-click only sales. And that's fine because you got to start out somewhere. But if you launch and don't do any advertising or giveaways, you're going to be on page 8 and no one's going to see your product. What pay-per-click does immediately, if you do it right, get you to page 1 with a sponsored ad, which will get you sales. So you got to know the equation, and the calculator that I'm going to show you takes all this into consideration. So I think you'll be excited about that. But pay-per-click really, the faster you can get sales with any keyword will be the faster you get to page 1. So it's really important that there's a paradigm shift. Pay-per-click, every sale on pay-per-click, it's not essential that it makes money because it's not the point, right? Ultimately, the point is to drive relevancy, to drive ranking. And just think of the 2-click URL that you use for giveaways or you use on Facebook. This is basically a super powerful, like uber powerful 2-click URL based on the fact that pay-per-click, it's a full price sale. So keep that in mind. I just need everyone to understand specifically what pay-per-click is. Now, again, I'm not looking at questions, Mike. I don't know if you want to answer them, but I don't know if there are any out there. I will answer them at the end, but I just don't want to get wrapped up in the questions, just so everyone's clear.
Yeah, all right. I've been answering the questions. We're good.
All right, so here's the process, and this is going to require a little bit of digging deeper, and we'll revisit this when we get to the module about writing your listing. But this is really for the people that either are about to launch product or already launched and need to restructure the pay-per-click or about to launch their second product. So you already know what I'm talking about. So for newer students, this may be slightly over your head, and that's fine, because you'll understand it, probably after module 3. But so the first thing first, you got to find your top 15 keywords, and I'm going to do some of this live, okay? And top 15 are broken 5 into 10, right? So there are 15 keywords, 5 of them are critical, 10 of them are needed, okay? There may be 100 keywords, but you got to whittle it down to 15, and I'm going to show you some strategies, some newer strategies on how to do that based on some of the algorithm changes. You've got to establish a budget, and we're going to go into that with my new calculator. You got to figure out what keyword you're comfortable with, and that's going to depend on what your budget is. You got to create campaigns. We're going to create an auto campaign, a broad campaign, exact campaign, and ultimately we call it an attack campaign, but that won't be done until 2 or 3 days after you launch, and it'll be based on some data you get, which I'll explain shortly. I told you guys, saddle up, because there's a lot that's going to go down on this. And you want to manage, initially, you're going to manage your campaigns on a 24-hour cycle the same time every day. This is super, super critical. If you manage your pay-per-click today at 9 in the morning, and then you decide to do it at 9 o'clock, the next night, and you let 36 hours goes by, you're going to lose some opportunities. And now long term, you never want to do it on 24-hour cycles. You want to wait a couple days. But early on, you really need to get some data, and you really need to see how things are reacting, because you can make some really important changes in that period of time. But for the first 7 to 10 days, it's every day at the same time every day. Don't do it 3 times a day, because you're going to over adjust and you're never going to get the right data. So that's really, really important. And then at the end of this, we're going to talk a little bit about beyond 10 days and what to do and how to manage it. Because a lot of people do really well the first 10 days. They get to page 1 for 1 or 2 keywords, and then it all goes downhill. And that's where I really need to avoid. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. This is super, super important. So when you're doing a 15 keyword research, right? Everyone's like, okay, so let's just do this live. It's really, really important. So when we get the garden hose, right? We did this. Remember, we did the top sellers, okay? We ran the Amazon Rank Booster, and it tells us the top sellers. So you got to take at least the top 3 ASINs, at least the top 3. And you're going to want to do what I call the reverse Cerebro, right? So you want to do a keyword assessment on all 3 of them. And it's important. With the research with Cerebro, you can do, I think, as many as 10 at the same time. And this is super, super critical. So you can put in, so if you notice that I have on this thing, I have three ASINs, right? Basically, you would put them in. Let me just see here. I'm kind of going back and forth the screen. I'm trying not to move too fast. I know I move a little fast, so I apologize. So you put all the ASINs in here, and I already did it. So I'm gonna show you what it shows. It will come up like it will call the multi-search. So it'll have all 3 products. Now you can do as many, I think it's 10, I think it said. So you can do as many as 10. So it'll have all 3, and it will show all of their rankings, the number of searches. So I'm going to tell you the first thing I do. Now remember, I'm trying to get to fit a minute right now for the purposes of this discussion. I'm trying to get to 15. Ultimately, you'll list more than that when you try to rank, see how you're ranking. But for the purposes of the PPC ads, 15 is the key number. So here is what people are not doing now. And this is a second component. We always look and we would sort by exact search volume. And that was the end all be all, right? We want to go after the top searches, right? So what I want to add in now, and this is a component that I think is important, now that we can combine multiple competitors, is first thing I want to do with these what is it called? The filters, is I want to go on, let's see where it has it, position rank. I want to do position and rank. In other words, I only want to see what's on page 1 for all 3 of these competitors, because if all 3 of these competitors are on the same page for the certain keywords, that means those keywords convert, right? You might have, I'm just saying this for the sake of argument, I'm sure it's not true, but you might have garden hose. Well, let's pick a different one. Water hose, say water hose, and say one of these guys is on the first page, the other 2 aren't. Then you might have garden hose where all 3 of them are on the first page. You're going to know that based on their seller volume, that keyword, if they're all on page 1, we know for sure that keyword generates sales, or that keyword is a high producing keyword. And that's really important. So the first thing I'm going to do is go from, I do 1 to 16. Now, every different keyword, you'll see them as high as 18, 36, whatever. Just do 1 to 16, because that'll always get you on the first. That'll always position rank 1 to 16. That means the top 16, any keyword that's in the top 16 for all 3 are going to show up. Okay, so I put 1 to 16. All right. And so now I'm just dealing with keywords that are on page 1 for all 3 combined, right? So when you see competitor average rank 6, it's position rank, my bad. There's 4, 3, this is their average rank for all 3 of them, okay? And then, so the next thing I do is, so now I'm just dealing with page 1 keywords, okay? Now I'll do a sort by exact search volume.
Hey, it's Mike here, and we just launched version 7 of our Amazon training course, where we walk you through the process of how we sold just in the last 30 days, our first 30 days, over 1,000 products with the brand new ranking strategies that we're now showing to the public. We've trained over 1,000 students, and last year alone we did over $3.2 million online. And if you go to my site, put your credit card away, enter just your first name and your email address, I'll immediately send you a series of free training videos that walk you through the process.
And I'll clean it up a little bit, okay? Garden hose, expandable hose, garden hose, 50-foot, pocket hose, hoses. So these are all, see, this got rid of a lot of that stupid noise that's out there, and these are just really relevant keywords. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna export this, right? It's important that you export it because you're gonna need it for what I'm going to show you next. But everyone understands, right? Is that, Mike, does that make sense? That's pretty powerful, right? This is something we've really never shown before.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm just reading a question here from Jana. When you have multiple ASINs, how can you differentiate between them? Jana, can you explain that a little bit more? Yeah, I don't understand that either.
All right, I'm gonna keep going while she clarifies that. So you're gonna export this to Excel. And remember, I only want, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't, the whole point is you're not differentiating on here, right? The whole point is we're looking at the aggregate, right? I don't care which is which. I just want to know what keywords are on page 1 for all 3. I don't care which one they're on. These are all 3 top sellers. These are all 3 sellers that do more than 100,000 a month. So now I'm focused on the keywords. I don't care about these guys, right? Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah, you don't, exactly. You don't need to worry about looking at the keywords for each individual product. It's an aggregate of all 3 or all 2 or whatever.
Or 10. Or 10. What you're going to get is the best possible keywords. Because again, if you get people that are over 100,000 in sales and they're all on page 1 for these keywords, those are super relevant, super high producing keywords without question. Now, if I left this open, I'd be like, I don't want to compete for a keyword that's everyone's on page 6 for. Why would I want to do that, right? So this is just the biggest bang for your buck. It's going to clean things up for you. So anyway, so you would open it up. We downloaded it to, exported it to Excel, and there's a reason for it. So we're going to take the first 15, right? And it's sorted in order. And so we're just going to go 15, right? We're just going to 15. It's going to be very simple. We're just going to highlight them, okay? All right, I'm going to hold that there for a second. And then let's go back to here. So you do it to Excel. And remember, you're going to have this, you guys are all going to have these PowerPoints too. So I don't want you to have to take a ton of notes. So now we have to evaluate those keywords. I'm not going to do this in gory detail, but we're going to do it pretty quick. I think you'll get the point. It's not like that complex. So remember on this, if you don't know it, you're going to know that on my my ranking workbook, we have it's in title creation. We do this when we start creating the title. We pull in the top keywords. So this is you're starting the process, right? So you would take the top 15 keywords. I already pre-populated this, but you put them in here. Then you would then copy and paste the volume and we call it the CPR, which is the number of, so basically I would copy and paste that. I'd copy and paste this into those fields. And then I copy and paste how many units a day that they recommend it would take to get to page 1. So I put that all on this spreadsheet. And the reason for that is I like everything in one place, okay? So that's perfect. So we've got that. Now, we're in a good place right there. All right, so that's pretty simple. And we explain all this. You put them in the workbook, you clean up the noise, and here's another thing we've never taught, but it's becoming more relevant, especially when you have. This is why it's better to launch at valleys than peaks, because you can identify some keyword costs. So let's say, so now is where it gets a little bit interesting. I'm going to take these keywords. Let me just go back to it. And I'm going to expand this so you guys can see it. Let me explain what I'm going to do, because this is super, super important. This all comes from my pay-per-click strategy. You guys got to know I'm taking you down the path. So I promise you it goes somewhere. So, and you'll see in a second why. So you take these keywords. Now, here's the deal. Here's what people get. So the first thing what we would usually do is say, okay, 15 units a day, I'm comfortable with selling or giving away at a deep discount to, to that would be then we call it the budgeted keyword, right? The keyword that you are comfortable getting to page one with, and for whatever reason, we may choose that one. But one more step I'm adding to this is I go in and create a dummy campaign in my Amazon. So I'll go in, and I'm going to do this in a different page, guys, because there's some. So I would go in now. If you're new and you haven't even launched a product and you're about to, you should have your product already there. As long as you have a product in there, even if you have to burn a UPC code and put a dummy product in. Now, for the new students, next module, we're going to show you how to enter a product. But you can, as long as you have a product in there, even if it's not live, it doesn't matter. You're going to need it to do what I'm about to show you. So let me see if I can do this. Basically, let me see. Okay, so basically you're going to just create a campaign, right? You're going to go create a campaign. All right, I'm trying to do this, guys, and not, well, you know something, it doesn't matter. I can't sit here and do this like, and then you're going to just go like you're creating a normal campaign, right? And we're going to call it test. Doesn't matter, right? None of this really matters because you're not going to actually ever run this campaign. And you're going to go manual targeting, and you're going to do test, right? And we're going to pick a product. Let's pick one of my old products, right? And then you're going to do keyword targeting, and then you're going to enter your keywords. So the first thing I do is I then go and I take those top 15 keywords, or however many, it's 15. I'm just doing this for the sake of discussion, right? So I take these, however many there are, it doesn't matter. It's going to be 15 when you do it. And you're going to put them in here, okay? And you're going to add them. And now is where it gets interesting. You're going to find out what the bids for these keywords are. So the reason for this is you're going to now see, okay, I know this may be 15 units a day to sell to get to page one for this keyword, but what if that keyword's $4, like water hose reel? I'm probably not going to go after that because if I want that to be my budgeted keyword, which you're going to see in a second, it's going to cost me $5, $6 a click. I'll go after a keyword in the top 15 that has a lower cost of entry, right? So we would do this. We'd get these top 15 keywords in here, and then I put in the median cost per click and the high cost per click. The median is the one in the middle. I don't care about the low. I just do the median and the high. So now I'm going to have this for the first 15, and I want to make decisions based on this, right? So first thing I'm going to look for is how many units a day am I comfortable with? So I go at 15. Okay, 68 cents, 45 cents. That's pretty cheap cost of entry. Garden hose, that's kind of getting costly. Look at hose. That's a lot of units per day, so I'm probably going to stay away from that. So yeah, I'm probably going to stick with expandable garden hose, but it's important. This would change. Say expandable garden hose was $5. I wouldn't go after that because it would be just too costly for me to get to page one, position one at launch. I might have to go to a different one. So just keep that in mind. This is a good way this is what you got to look at, the number of units a day and the cost that it's going to cost you on a click basis. So this is not many people are doing this. So there's three things here. There's a three-step process. You're finding the keywords that are relevant for the top products on page one, which we showed you in that reverse cerebro. You're finding and you're selecting the ones based on that. You're then looking at what the cost per click is, okay? And then how that combines with the number of units per day that you want, okay? So you've done that. Now you still have to pick your, I call it the budgeted keyword, the keyword that you are going to focus on getting to page 1. And for the sake of this discussion, it's going to be expandable garden hose. Okay. So there you go. Now you've got your top 15 keywords, you got your budgeted keyword, and you're ready to start your campaign process. Am I losing anyone? Everyone good so far?
Everybody's good, man. We're getting some good questions. Everybody's
Mike,
good.
how is it going? I mean, you tracking with me?
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's fine. Yeah, the students are tracking too. We're good to go.
Just interrupt me if you need to.
Yep.
Okay. Again, it's really important that you create a dummy campaign. You don't have to ever run it just to get those numbers. It's really, really important because I'm finding that people are picking a budgeted keyword and then realizing they can't afford it, you know, and then they have to change it all over again and pick a different keyword. So let's do that up front. All right. Now we're going to talk about budgets. Okay. So we've now identified that based on this, that we're going to go after a keyword that it's recommended 15 units per day. Okay. It's saying we have to target, our goal is sales of 15 units a day, whether that's deeply discounted, whether it's all pay-per-click, whatever it is, that's our number. So now that we have that number, we can come up with what's it going to really cost to launch this product, or what's it going to cost to sell this product. If you're 6 weeks, a year into a product, you could still use this logic. It's just you use it in a different fashion. But so 15 is the magic number, and it's important because I'm going to show you this new sheet, and this sheet really is going to need some of these variables, and 15 is going to be the variable. All right. And let me show you this calculator. Let me just go through this. All right, that's the key. What I'm going to show you at this. All right, so I'm really proud of this calculator. You guys can't make any fun of it. All right, no. Launch expense. All right, this got a lot complicated. So here's the key. You only fill out what's in green. It looks like a lot, but it's really not a lot, okay? Everything else is calculated for you. It's a locked. You won't be able to fill them out because they'll be locked. Where it's red, it explains what it is if there's any questions. All right, so very simple. You put your cost per unit in there. You put your freight. You put your FBA fees, right? You should know all that. That's very simple. You put what you're going to sell it for, full price. Then you put what it's going to take to sell it at a deep discounted price. In this case, I put $1.25. You can put whatever number you want there, right? But you know you're going to have to sell them pretty cheap. And then a number of units per day, we said we're 15. Okay, then I'm gonna not talk about these three yet because they're gonna take some explanation. Then how many days to page 1? I typically put 7 and 9. We'll put 7 for this. How many units you ordered, and that's all the pieces of information you need, and it will take care of the rest. So hold on that. But what I did was create a cost per click calculator. None of us have ever done this before. I literally took a lot of time trying to figure this out. But one of the things I want to explain to you all is the ideal breakdown for a product on Amazon. This is average. So if you took a product on Amazon, oh no, what happened? Hold on. I lost my column. Oh, phew. All right. If you took a product out of 100%, right? If you added all these columns, it would be 100%, right? So of that, Amazon referral fee is always 15%. FBA fees are approximately 11%, right? That's shipping and what have you. Cost of goods on average for Amazon is 11%. And believe it or not, people don't realize this, 25% is the average spend of ACOS. So if you took a $20 product, right, 15% of it would be, let's take a $10 product because it's easy math. So if you took a $10 product, right, the way the average is $1.50 of that is for referral fees, $1.10 is for FBA fees, $1.10 for cost of goods, and $2.50 for advertising pay-per-click, which leaves $3.80 profit, right? Does that make sense to everybody? That's the average, but we're not all average, okay? So one of the things I like to do is I like to say, okay, let's see what it actually is. Like if I have a $19.99 product, I'm going to sell it for, I like to put what those actual numbers are, and this is automatically calculated. It's actually green, which it shouldn't be green. This is always 50. This is going to automatically calculate for you based on these numbers. But the point is, the way this is set up for my mock thing, it's actually 40% is going to pay-per-click, which is going to leave me 14% margin versus 38%. That's okay for launch. My point in this is showing you what the average is and then what your actual is, so that you can use it as a point of reference, just for reference. This isn't really real applicable to what I'm showing you, except that you understand over time you want to get close to average. All right, so cost per click. We know it's 15 units per day, right? So say we were just going to do a full out pay-per-click launch, okay? This should say PPC, my bad. So if we're going to do a full out pay-per-click launch, we need to sell 15 units a day. The average Amazon conversion rate is 10%. And when you launch, you're going to start with that. We're going to assume you're going to be at average. Now, the good news is you can play with this. So when you get to 20%, you can see how like exponentially the numbers change. The selling price is going to equal what you have on the other side. So that's kind of populate. Now, average pay-per-click as a percent, again, these are explained here. What this means is, on average, 25% of all sales are pay-per-click generated. So at 100 sales, 25 were generated from pay-per-click. That's the Amazon average. That script is flipped when you launch. Sometimes pay-per-click will be 90%, right? This is an important variable. So I always start out with saying pay-per-click on average in the first few days is going to be 75% of my total sales. And why is that important? It's important because that means you're going to have 25% full price sales, which is going to change what your investment is. And that's why this is an important number. So these two are interesting. The affordable cost per click based on the ideal, okay? In other words, this is where it gets deep, everybody. And again, I'm going to do like an hour module just talking about this. But if you were to look at what you can truly afford based on your conversion rate on a cost per click basis overall, based on all these numbers, it's 80 cents. This is automatically calculated. It's based on what your percentages are and what your leftover margin is. This is saying that 80 cents is the optimal. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not practical, but that's just a guideline, right? That's just something, it's an interesting piece of information. But the reality is what's important is what you're going to put in here. And, you're going to put a number in here that's reflective of I'll show you how to do your exact campaign. This number is going to be that. So let's say it's $2.50, your average cost per click. And you may bid $5. You'll find out that it's $3 or whatever. You'll put that number in here. This calculates how many clicks you need to get 15 sales. Well, with a 10% conversion rate, you need 112 clicks because, okay, so I told you guys this is confusing. So if you needed 15 sales a day and 75% of your sales were generated by pay-per-click, that means basically pay-per-click would generate 11 sales and 4 would be organic, right? So that's what that means. So the reason this 112, that math is there, because it's going to take 112 clicks to get you those 11 sales, okay? Very simple. I need to know how many clicks because remember, I'm putting in a cost per click. So basically then it tells you how much you're going to need to spend on pay-per-click every day to get those 15 sales. But then you got to offset that with some of the organic sales. So to know what this is great, but know that the numbers are automatically calculated. I was just trying to explain what they mean. So at the end of the day, every day you'd be actually, spending $18.75 per unit sold on pay-per-click, or equivalent to a 94% discount. So it's kind of interesting. So at the end of the first day or every day that would take you to get to page 1, as long as you were at these statistics, it would cost you $120 a day if you just did pay-per-click, needing 15 units a day, right? So that's the reason I'm leaving this calculator separate, is because in the future, say somebody wants to change and look at a pay-per-click campaign and say, okay, I need to get to page 1 for this third keyword, and I know I need to sell 10 units a day. My conversion rate is actually 30% now. I'm an established brand, and I am selling, and I'm at the 25%, right? You're going to see in my average cost per click, whatever the number is, maybe it costs you $250 still. You're going to see it's going to cost you to get there you're going to spend $187 a day on this campaign. It's going to cost you $80 a day to get that keyword to page 1 for however long it's going to get there. So this is really just for you to play with going forward, to say, okay, this tool was really specifically for when you want to launch your second and third keyword to get that to page 1. This will give you an idea of what you need to do. And when you say, well, what's my conversion rate? Well, you all know we've explained that. This number is in your business report. It says it here in this description. So that's really important. So you would want to on your second and third keyword, you know enough of this data that you can be intelligent enough. But so say you're just launching, you're going to put them at the baseline. You get the 15, it's 10% average, 75% of your sales will be generated pay-per-click. So now let's go back to the other sheet. So if you just ran a pay-per-click campaign on this, you would spend on 7 days, $836 net. That's after the organic sales and everything. So to get that keyword to page 1 just with a pay-per-click campaign, this calculator would estimate you'd spend about $836, okay? Pretty simple. So forget everything I just told you, what the math means and what everything means. Fill out the formula, and this is what it's going to show you, right? If you want to know the details, you'll get more details and explanations in the module. But just if you fill this out, you'll know that if you just did pay-per-click. Now, if you wanted to start adding if you wanted to get to 15 by using a different way, maybe you want to do 3 Facebook sales a day, 3 giveaways, and then so say you wanted to do 8 pay-per-click. So you want to change it over here, 8 pay-per-click. You want to get 8 sales from pay-per-click. Say you want to do 3 from a giveaway service and 3 from Facebook. Now it's going to cost you $1,100 to get to page 1 for that same keyword. It's more expensive. And the reason being, there's some variables. Number one, you're selling at a deeply discounted cost. You're spending money on Facebook. Your conversion rate is about 10%. So if you get 100 people, 100 impressions, 10 of them are going to click it, and then however many of those buy, and then there's about $1 a click. So those are some of the assumptions. So this is a good way to say, like, should you go pay-per-click? Should you, it's still valuable to do Facebook and giveaway services. If you can't generate it from pay-per-click, you're not going to have a choice. At this point, I want to be honest with you all. I'm launching product with 100% pay-per-click and move to giveaways or Facebook if I can't get pay-per-click to generate those sales, okay? So the reason I'm having these as variables is because say you could only get pay-per-click to do 8 sales a day without spending a stupid amount of money, then you'll switch and do 3 to Facebook and 3 to giveaway services. And what's cool about this is if you say you want to do 3 sales a day on Facebook, you're going to go down here and it's going to tell you you need to give 30 coupons away in order to get those 3 sales, okay? JumpSend, same thing. You'll need 6 to give away 3 because you got about 50% conversion rate with that. So these are all the information's here. I know I'm just throwing a lot of this at you. The bottom line with this is you'll see this is the net investment during the launch, the 7 days, and you would have expected, based on the profitability model, to make $5,700. You would now have only made $4,600 because of your investment. And you can play with these numbers and do what you want. Like I said, I would launch with, with all pay-per-click and go from there. Because when you launch with all pay-per-click, all your reviews are going to be verified, and there's a lot of value to that. And it's only going to cost you $800 for that one keyword of 15. Now, if you wanted a keyword with 40 or 50, your numbers are going to be much different. It's going to be $3,000. So obviously it's going to get you a higher ranked keyword. All right. The key with this is fill out what's in green, okay? And the rest takes care of itself. But this tool is ultimately what you got to determine your budget on. So say this is where I'm getting. So say you got to get that 15 units. You know that in 7 days, literally you're going to spend $836. Remember, you actually spend more than that because you won't be getting the offsetting organic sales for about 4 to 6 weeks. So it's really important that you understand your net expense is going to be what you comes off your credit card. If you're just launching and it's going to cost you $1,000 to get to page one, you're going to spend $1,000. It's going to go somewhere. That's going to go on a credit card. That's going to go somewhere because Amazon's going to take the money from you before they pay you. I mean, pretty much period, end of story. Now it'll offset. So your net will be $836 because it will still take into consideration what you made in revenue. But I always tell people, yeah, if you want to go after the keyword that's 50, well, you better have a budget that you can afford in the first 10 days or 7 days, $3,000, period. So this calculator really gives you an idea of what you are willing to spend in the first 7 days, or if you want to make this 10 days, I don't care, whatever the number is. So people underestimate this. They go after the super high keyword, okay, and they're like, I'm broke. I can't afford $3,000. I'm going out of business. Don't do that. That's why you pick something that you can afford. Let's go to the 15 a day. It's $800. Can you afford that? You'll eventually get it back. But I always tell people, you've got to know Amazon, you're not going to get that first check for a while. You're not going to see money for several weeks. So there's going to be weeks, or there's going to be a period of time where you're spending money, not making money. So if you spend all your money on product and now all of a sudden you get a $1,000 bill from Amazon that you got to pay, you're in trouble. So you got to take all this into consideration. This is really, really important stuff. So that was a long way to tell you got to define your budget. So once you define your budget, you can go from there. I always start off with a pay-per-click, and I'll mix it up if I have to, because if I can't generate the sales that I need with just pay-per-click. For first timers, if you have to do something else, I would do pay-per-click, then like a jump send, and then Facebook third, because Facebook adds a lot of complexity. With a giveaway service like jump send, you're not spending money. You're only giving the coupon. You're giving the discount. With Facebook, you're spending money to advertise and giving the discount. So it adds a little more complexity. So I would start out with pay-per-click first. If that doesn't work and you need to get more velocity, then you go to a giveaway service and introduce Facebook later in the process. It is good to bring sales from the outside, but it does add complexity. All right. So what do we? I want to go into the actual strategy now. Are we good, Mike? I mean, that was pretty deep. I told you guys to strap it in.
Yeah, we're good. People were just asking when the spreadsheet was going to make it to the new membership area. We'll get it in there tomorrow.
Okay. I'll get it to you tonight.
Thanks.
All right. So here's the strategy. I do a broad campaign, an exact campaign, an auto campaign, and then I do an attack campaign later. Okay. And I do it very specifically. The broad campaign has 15 keywords, the one that we just pulled, that list. The exact campaign has at minimum the budgeted keyword. And that's all I would start with. One keyword, because that's the expensive one. This is going to be the expensive campaign. And then there's an auto campaign, which is just meant to get you on other competitors' page, right? It's not, you'll have covered the most important keywords in your broad campaign that your auto campaign really won't capture any of that. Now, if your auto campaign does capture keywords, you can then determine whether or not you want to add that to your broad campaign. But your auto campaign is meant to serve a purpose. It actually helps you determine which competitors you can win over. You'll see when you finally get your reports on your auto campaign, you'll see a lot of ASIN numbers. And that means somebody went to your competitor and then your listing or your sponsored ad was on the competitor's, page when they're listing, and then they bought yours over the competitor. And you'll use that data in an attack ad, 3 or 4 days down the line. But auto is not really meant to do much because you've done all the research. It's really meant to find the competitors you can convert over. All right, so first thing I want to do is start with a broad campaign. Okay, do the top 15 keywords. Very simple. Remember, we have it already on the spreadsheet, right? It's already here. Right? There's going to be 15. I just did this for the sake of conversation. There'll be 15 keywords. Very simple. You're gonna just cut and paste this into your campaign. You guys don't need me to actually do a campaign, right? I mean, so you're gonna take the top 15 keywords. Well, I'll do this one for you because so you're gonna take the top 15 and then you just segment out the top 5. So reason being, I like the top 5 to segment them out. So I go here, you do the top 5, right? And your budgeted keyword. Those are the ones, they'll come into play in a second. I'll show you what I do. The broad campaign, you can't get 15 keywords on page 1 in 7 days. You want to try to get as many as you can. And even long term, you're not going to get 15 keywords on page 1. You want to get, a half dozen of the most profitable keywords on page 1, not necessarily all 15. And you'll figure out what's more profitable. That's a whole different conversation. So anyway, so you're going to do that. You're going to do top 15 on the broad campaign, but it's important that you do identify the top 5, and I'll show you why in a second. So let me just run a campaign for you guys, just real quick. I already started it, so it's pretty simple because it does get dicey. There's no easy way to have this conversation, by the way. There's literally there's no simple way to talk about pay-per-click without really getting in the weeds. So I apologize, but it kind of is what it is. So this would be a broad campaign. Remember, we did a broad campaign. So you do manual targeting, and then you do keyword targeting and match type broad. Okay, so you're gonna put your 15 keywords here. Just pretend with me that this is 15. All right. You copy, and then you're gonna paste them right here. Okay. Then you're gonna add the keywords. And then what's good about it is the top 5. In this case, is the top 6 because your 6th keyword is your budgeted keyword. So that's fine. So for the top 5, in this case, the top 6, you're going to go, there's nothing here for host. So that's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'd leave that alone, but that doesn't happen very often. But what you're going to do on the top 5 is you're going to go 10 to 20% over the high bid. So the high bid is 69 cents. I'll add 10% to that. So what is that? 77 cents, whatever the math is, right? $1.10, $1.11 at 10% to that is 122. Just, you're going to do this to the top 5, right? In this case, 6, because you got the 6th one as your budgeted keyword. You're going to keep doing that for the top 5. Then the rest of them, you're just going to use the median. So you're just going to click apply, apply, apply. Don't get aggressive with the rest of them. Just use the median, okay? Top 5, I have it here, so you don't have to take notes. Top 5 keywords will be assigned a bid of 10 to 20% above the high, and they must include the keywords that are in your exact campaign, which is your budgeted keyword. And these are the 5, and these are 5 priority keywords at first. That may change, but right now they're the 5. You don't know what's going to produce, so those are the 5 right now. And then the rest of them, the 10 remain, will be at the median. Okay, so I want to get ahead of that in a second. So the next thing you're going to do is, that before you get out of this, before you get out of the broad campaign, you're going to have an exact campaign. You're going to have an exact campaign, right? And you know what the keyword's going to be. The keyword for your exact campaign is your budgeted keyword, which is expandable garden hose, okay? So what you have to do is we'll launch this. You'll take that budgeted keyword, which is expandable hose, and you're going to put it in as a negative exact, okay? Okay, negative exact, and you're going to do negative phrase. The reason for this is you're already going to be searching for this in an exact campaign, which I'm going to show you. You don't want to bid against yourself, but you do want to get other stuff, other things that are less expensive will pop up. So you want to not have it, you bid against yourself, but you still want to keep it in there but you want to put whatever one you're going to put, whatever your budgeted keyword is, or whatever it ends up being in your exact campaign, which we're going to create next. You got to have as a negative phrase and a negative exact in here, okay? Because you'll still get broad like results for expandable garden hose, so we wouldn't want to lose those. So again, 15 keywords, top 5, 10 to 20%. The budgeted keyword should be also a negative keyword in here for phrase and exact. Then you launch the campaign. Okay, so that's your broad campaign. Okay, now let's talk about your exact campaign. This is the priority campaign. This is getting your product to page 1. This is where you're going to spend the most of your money, and it's the most important campaign. So you're going to use your budgeted keyword. So let's just go do it. Let's simulate one. Let's start from scratch. Let's remove all these. Okay. Let's remove all those. All right. So you would come in. You'd come into your, whatever you want to call it, and keyword targeting. Doesn't matter what you put for a default bid here, by the way, because you're going to change it anyways. And so this is now. You're gonna have 4 separate campaigns. So you would name this exact campaign. The other one would be named broad campaign, right? You name this exact campaign, right? And you name, if you have multiple products, put the product, and you call the things exact campaign. And so you're gonna use your expandable garden hose, and you're gonna put that as a phrase, and you're gonna put it as an exact. Now, I don't want to get crazy. I typically will actually do 2 separate campaigns for exact and phrase, but I don't want to get you guys crazy. Okay, so you want to basically do expandable garden hose as a phrase and expandable garden hose in an exact. Now, for phrase, you want to do the 20, do the 10% again over the budget. For now, that will change. Let's say $2 for sake of argument, but for the exact. Well, I want to make it simple for you guys. Scratch that. For both of these, you gotta put these at a price that will get you page 1, position 1. Okay, so put them at $5. I don't care what the number is. Don't put them at 20. Start out at 5, right? And then when you launch the campaign, you're gonna put them high. When you launch the campaign, you're gonna wait, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. You're gonna go to Amazon, go to incognito, and type in Amazon, then type in expandable garden hose, okay? I'm gonna just show you what I'm talking about. So Amazon, right? And say you're gonna type in expandable garden hose, all right? You're gonna bid until you are here. There is a cost for this. There is a cost. You don't pay for the impression. Remember that. You only pay after the click. So you will bid. There is a price that it will take that will get your product page 1, position 1 for your keyword, right? So expandable garden hose, you will go $5 or whatever the number is. Pick a number. Wait, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Go and look. If it's not there, you can find out, kind of see where it is. Go back, raise it another $1 or $2, $6, whatever the number is. You'll eventually, don't do it like in $5 increments, because if you do it in like dollar increments, so you don't like overbid, and you'll see eventually it will get there. You're going to do it for both phrase and exact, right? So that every time someone types in expandable garden hose or something that has expandable garden hose in it, you are page 1, position 1, period. This is going to be your most costly, but think about this, that is going to generate the most sales. And every time someone buys your sponsored product after typing expandable garden hose, will jump you to the head of the line with regards to the relevancy on that keyword. And that's it. So the reason I don't like doing 2 or 3 keywords here, because it will bury you with price, right? It will cost you way too much. Once you get the first page on here, you can back down on that, and there are other strategies. But for now, this is a launch strategy. So you will launch that. And you literally will do this on launch day. You will figure out what the price is to get you. There is a price. You got to bear with it. Wait about 15 to 20 minutes between each time, maybe more. But give it a little bit of time for the system to catch up. All right, so that's your exact campaign. Okay. Bid until you, okay. Wait before you add any more words. That's what I'm saying. You got to figure out what the cost really is. Eventually, you may be bidding $8, but your actual cost per click may only be like 2 or 3. So again, don't add additional keywords to this exact campaign, because this will put you out of business if you don't do it right. Okay. And I'll be honest with you, if it gets too expensive, then I will actually go down. If you have to go, if you can't lose these, right? You get exact always has to be the priority. If this gets too expensive, I would reduce the price on the phrase first before you, and always get page 1, position 1 for the exact, because you can't, this is like the most important keyword, right? That's the one you want to get to page 1. So if you had to cut back and save some money, reduce your bid on the phrase, okay? Or even if you had to eliminate the phrase, that's fine. But focus your money on the on this one. Okay. So everyone clear? We good, Mike? Everyone good?
Yeah, we're awesome. Everything's good.
All right. So then you run an auto campaign. An auto campaign is very, very simple. We'll do it right now. Basically, let's remove all this. Auto campaign is like the easiest, right? So up here, you just want to click automatic targeting, okay? And there's really not much you got to do. It'll give you a, I think it gives you, it'll give you like a range, I think. Oh, it'll give you a range somewhere here. Hold on a second.
Hey, it's Mike here, and we just launched version 7 of our Amazon training course, where we walk you through the process of how we sold just in the last 30 days, our first 30 days, over 1,000 products with the brand new ranking strategies that we're now showing to the public. We've trained over 1,000 students, and last year alone we did over $3.2 million online. And if you go to my site, put your credit card away, enter just your first name and your email address, I'll immediately send you a series of free training videos that walk you through the process.
All right, so see how it gives you a range? With the auto campaign, right out of the gate, I go on the high end just because I want to figure out. So I select the high cost per click on this. So in other words, let me find it. Let me go back. So it's $1.80. I go in at $1.80 right out of the gate. Now I may change that over time, but for now I do $1.80 just so I can see, because I need data, right? This is all about data gathering initially. So now here's where it's really, really, really important. It's important on a negative campaign. This is where I lose most people, but it's real simple. I don't want anyone getting confused. Give it a second. It's coming. You've got to do a negative targeting, okay? So all your top 15 keywords, right, have to be in here, okay? So you got to put in your top 15 keywords. I do both negative phrase and negative exact. So you take your top 15 keywords. You could do one or the other, negative phrase, negative exact. I usually just do, I do them both, but it doesn't really matter if you do one or the other, because one campaign will catch it. But so I'll do, so you put your top 15 in here, you'll add them as phrase. If you want to do it, you can do it exact, add them as exact. So this way, you're limiting the scope of your auto campaign just to keywords that you hadn't thought about or other competitors. If you don't do this, you're going to duplicate your efforts. This is really, really important, and you'll overspend on your auto campaign. You'll overspend on your campaigns if you don't. This is something that people don't do. This is really, really important. I want the broad campaign to focus on those 15 keywords. I want the exact campaign to focus on my one keyword. I don't want the auto campaign focusing on those keywords. You already got those covered. You want it to find new keywords, and you want it to find products. So if you don't put this negative, it's going to cost you more money than it's going to be wasted money. Okay. All right. So now here's the key. After 2 or 3 days, you want to run an auto campaign. You want to run a campaign report, but you want to filter out the auto. And when you see those ASINs for the competitors, you would then create, I'm not going to do it here because I've given you enough information. You would then create what I call is an attack campaign. I'll show you briefly. You would then, let me create another campaign. Hold on a second, everybody. I want to do this off screen real quick. All right. All right, hold on. Oh, man, sorry. I'm trying to work on two screens and it's not working for me. All right, so I need a breather anyways. All campaigns. So create a campaign. I'll show you guys 1 second. All right, let's just pick a product. Let's pick this product. All right, so you're going to create a campaign, and here's the key, right? You want to do manual targeting, but then you want to do product targeting, okay? So when you get the data from your auto campaign, this is brand new. I showed you guys this last week, but I want to show you how it's best used. So after 2 or 3 days, you're going to figure out what products you are actually converting against. You click on product targeting, and then you're going to go individual products, okay? Enter list, and then you're going to put the ASIN numbers that you get from the auto campaign, ones where you sold based on that. Don't do more than 5 or 6, and you'll put them all here. And just for the sake of discussion, let's just put this person. Okay, so you take their ASIN, the ASINs of the people, you put them there. Hold on. Okay, you target that campaign, and then you'll have a bid. Look at that bid. So that's a huge person to get on their listing. Typically, I put the median. The other thing I'll do here, so that's after 2 or 3 days, you'll get that from the auto campaign. The other thing I like to do is I like to go and target also bought with products. So it doesn't, so to go head to head to a top competitor is costly, but why not go and put yourself on this guy on the, this is frequently bought with this. I don't know why we've got the USB plug, but why not attack and find out this guy's ASIN, right? So that when someone looks up his stuff, I don't know how much he sells. I'm assuming this sells a ton, right? So your ad will appear on here, right? So I take this guy's ASIN. Okay, let's see what it's going to cost us to compete with him. And so that your sponsored product. So that's another creative way to get advertising without having to spend a lot of money. Instead of just going head to head, you can go and put your product on with one that already sells with the other one. So it's like it becomes kind of a win-win. So you would put that ASIN in for the scissors, and let's see what they want to bid for that. So it's still a pretty high bid, $5. But the point of this is now you're not just going head to head. You're getting a like product. And so, but don't go crazy with this. Like literally, if you're doing 5 or 6 products, mix them up between similar products and then head to head. And if you're really converting on a competitor based on your auto campaign, definitely prioritize those. But play with this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You could also, I don't recommend this right now. You could also target categories. Let's stay away from that for a launch. That might be something you want to get creative with in the future. All right, so that's I wouldn't do that till at least 3 days after you get enough data from your auto campaign. Otherwise, you won't really you'll just be spending money. All right, we just talked about that. All right, so those are the campaigns. Now let me give you some keys to success. The first things first, those 15 keywords that you're gonna put in the broad campaign, or the top 15, make sure you index for them, and we'll show you how to index for them. You basically use 5K in the Amazon Rank Booster. I'll just show you here real quick. I think all you guys know how to use this, but you go to Amazon Rank Booster and you go to, oh, it's index checker now. They changed it. It used to be 5K. They changed it to index checker. So basically you put in your ASIN here, and then you'll put all those keywords, and it will tell you if you index for them. If you're not indexed for them, you got to get yourself indexed for them, and I'll show you how to do that at a later time for the new students. The other students, there's micro modules on that already. So you got to make sure you're indexed, because if you're not indexed, your sponsored ad will not appear for that keyword. You got to check that on launch day. You immediately on launch day, you also got to put in and track your keywords against your ASIN. I typically put the top 30 to 50. I know I'm only focusing on 15 of my ads, but I want to track a lot more, because if something starts to jump up, you're going to want to jump on it in later days. This is one that everybody, it drives me crazy. People are like, oh, I'm going to run my ad for 3 hours because I run out of money. Don't run out of money. You've created a budget from that calculator. That's your budget. If you have to spend $281 to get to 15 sales, you need to figure out how you can spend $281. And if that means you have to do crazy things like so in order of priority, exact campaign should never be touched. Exact keyword campaign. If you have, the next thing is on the exact campaign, you can lower the phrase. Then you would go to auto campaign, reduce that. Then you would go into your broad campaign, but never ever run out of budget. And if that means you have to lower your budget for certain campaigns, that's fine. Always weighted heavier to the exact campaign. So what I would typically do is I would never touch the exact campaign. I start with reducing my bid on the auto in my budget. If that didn't work and I'm still running out of money, I reduce my budget in bids in my broad campaign. And I start from the bottom up. If you know, top 15, if I'm on the median for 10, remember the 10, I'd go to the low end on those. Then I would go to the median on the top 5. But you never want to lose the integrity of that #1 keyword, but don't run out of budget, because then you got to start all over again and you lose the momentum. So that's really, really important. And there's a way to stay in budget, and people just get freaked out. Oh, I'm only focused on one keyword. Well, that's fine. That's the point, right? Because you can't focus on other keywords until you start getting organic sales. So that's really the key in this thing. And never turn off a keyword. So on those top 15 in broad, I don't care how low you put the bid, don't shut it off. There's no reason to. If you put the bid at 10 cents, you might get an impression and you get a sale. It's a free sale. So never shut it off. You just probably won't spend any money, but never shut it off. There's no reason to. Then you need to start, as the days go on, you need to start looking at your click-through rate. And the higher the click-through rate, the more that keyword converts, okay? So you'll see all the statistics. A higher click-through rate means that keyword is converting at a faster rate. So if you have 5 keywords and they all sold about the same amount, they all had about the same amount of impressions, but one had a higher click-through rate, then that one is a keyword you want to start to focus on, because that means that keyword's going to generate you more sales over time. And so you want to just kind of highlight that a little. Maybe you want to bid a little bit more on that, bid a little less on the others, just to get you want to go with the momentum. And that's why you have to rank from page 1, day 1, and so you can see where the momentum is going. Again, look at this results same time every day. Make changes first on your click-through rate, okay? That's critical. So you've got the keywords, you know what the big keywords are. You should make changes based on your click-through rate percentages, not your ACoS. Again, you know you're going to spend money. You know this is going to cost you money up front. We've already done the math. So make your decision. So if the average ACoS for Amazon is 0.36%. If you're at 0.36% and then there are other keywords at 1, focus on the keywords that have a higher click-through rate. Now, if you've only had 3 impressions in one sale, but the other one you're comparing it against had 1,000 impressions, you just want to be careful. Your click-through rate needs to be relative. So the impressions and the clicks for multiple keywords should be similar for you to make those decisions. But click-through rate is a really important statistic. That basically means your customer saw your listing and then decide to click on it and for that keyword. So that's an important distinction. So every keyword, product, and category are different. So here's where I start. This is for me a general rule. I hate general rules, but I have to give you someone. 60% of my budget will go to an exact campaign, 25% of my budget for broad, and 10% for auto. And that will change, right? You know, it may go 5% to auto, 15% to broad, but exact is the focus because that's the keyword you want to get to page one. And the faster you can get sales on that keyword, you're going to get jump started right up to page one on that keyword. Okay. All right. So this is where people put themselves out of business, and literally put themselves out of business. And because this becomes a little bit more of an art than a science, I can't give you, that's about as much detail step by step that I can give you. The rest has to become more of, you know, looking at multiple pieces of data. Where are you ranking? What are you doing? And, you know, so the goal is not being everything to everyone. The goal is focusing on keywords, getting to page one, and then riding the waves. If you have a keyword that you didn't, that may be number 10 in the top 15, but that's on page 2, get that, you can get that to page 1 really, really quick. So you want to kind of jump on that. You know, I always see people that their top 5 keywords, 3 of them are on like page 7, and the bottom or middle 3 keywords are on page 2, and they're still trying to spend all the money in the world on the 3 that are so far away, where you can just spend a little bit more money on the middle and get those to page 1. The goal is get as many keywords as you can in the top 15 of page 1. So some are starting to rank fast, bid a little higher on those, and you'll get those to page 1 faster. So that's the goal. And not 50, you're not going to get all 15. Have a goal of 3 to 6. If you look at your top competitors, the keywords generating the most money are like 3 to 6 keywords. After you launch, when you launch, it's sort of a shotgun approach. You're trying to get data. You're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. You need to migrate from a shotgun approach to a rifle approach and stop, and then becoming more focused and you know, and determined to get the keywords you want. Always monitor broad campaign. I just said that. Increase on keywords. We talked about that. Reduce bids on keywords that haven't moved. Say your number 2 keyword is still on page 9 or not in the top 306. Give up on it. Go to another keyword that's ranking. You know, we can worry about that at another time. You can't waste your first 7 days trying to will a keyword to rank when it's not ranking. You'll know after 2 or 3 days what's ranking and what's not. Ride the wave. Don't, just because it's in the top 5, think you have to get those keywords to page 1. If number 9 is ranking faster, go ahead and just go with that wave. Don't focus on like get stuck in this mindset. You got to see where you're ranking and go with it. So don't be afraid to reduce bids. If nothing's working, you're not selling anything, you're spending a ton of money, and there's something else ranking faster, switch your money, like flip money around. Don't add words. Don't make, all of a sudden people start with 15 and then they're at 30. That's just foolish. It becomes crazy. Now, if your auto campaign shows keywords that you don't have and it's producing, flip that to broad campaign, but make sure you put it as a negative in the auto. And again, give and take. If you increase a keyword bid, you should be decreasing somewhere else. You know, it shouldn't be all increases because you're going to spend more money. You should be, again, if you're trying to increase all your bids, that means you're trying to get all your keywords to page 1. So if you're increasing one, you should be decreasing another, because if one's going, one isn't going, right? Pick your battles and be laser focused. It's okay. You know, as you start to maintain page 1 ranking and you're pretty consistent, you can start backing off a little with your budget, with your bids and your budget, and then maybe add another keyword to the exact campaign, but back off on the one that's already there. You know, and that's how you do it, but don't keep increasing, because Amazon might say, oh, you need to spend another $200. Don't do it. You can change and manipulate your campaign so that you can keep in business all day long. But start, you know, as your product starts to sell and you're organic, you're at that 25%, you can start saving money a little bit, and then you can start fine tuning your bids. But try to stay when you budget. That's the key, right? Don't keep spending more. Don't chase sales, because then you're never going to win. Now, The other thing is, after you get your first review, both seller and product, you can add one of those orange coupons. And I recommend when you do that, you'll have a huge boost to your click-through rate if you add like a $3 or a $5 coupon, right? So what that will do, you can't do it until you get your first review. Otherwise, I do it right out of the gate. As soon as I get my first reviews, man, I'm adding a deeply discounted coupon. The reason for that is it will take your click-through rate, which will be higher, which means it will take fewer clicks to get a sale, which means you'll spend less money per sale. So the sooner you're given a $5 coupon, so I understand there's a cost associated with that. But again, the key is quickly get the sale so you can get to page one. So I would do a deeply discounted coupon before I even do giveaways, before I even do Facebook, so that you can improve your click-through rate on those keywords. I think that's it. Wow, I don't even want to look. How was that, Mike? We good? Did I?
No, it was great. Yeah. We had a lot of questions. I went through and answered them all, but everybody seemed like they were following along, so that's great.
I'm curious to some of the pros out there that have been selling. What do they think of this? I'm curious. Like Ishin, I see you out there. What do you think?
Yeah, Ishin actually asked a good question earlier.
Sorry.
Yep.
All right.
I mean, this strategy is so important. I mean, with PPC in general, like you said in the very beginning, I mean, PPC can make or break your business. And if you don't have a solid strategy in place, that you follow, you're hurting yourself right from the get-go. I mean, you have to be laser focused about this. You really do.
Yeah, and you have to be disciplined too, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, pay-per-click puts people out of business, and don't let it. And the reason is because people don't start with a budget. And I've now solved that problem for you guys. You should start with a budget. You should know what you're going to spend. I promise I'll do a really detailed module on this entire calculator again. But the key with this is, you're going to spend this amount of money in this period of time, and then you work from it. You have to spend, in this case, $281 a day.
Yep.
Period. Again, that'll be offset by some organic sales. And these are estimates, right? These are pretty close. These are using some averages. And one of the things I want to show you about this calculator is, think about it. As this number gets better, as less of your pay-per-click sales are a percent of your total, the less you spend and the more this turns around. You know what I mean? If you jump out of the gate and you convert 50% of the time, at the end of 7 days, you're only spending $200, basically a break even. So your key drivers on this is conversion rate and and click-through rate. And if the faster you improve those, that's why I say if you put a deep discounted coupon, your conversion rate, your click-through rate, and subsequently your conversion rate will get higher. All right, I'm done talking. It's late. I think you should can we do your thing another time, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. I did get it fixed, but yeah, let's do it another time, because that was a lot for everybody, for sure. I'll do it on the next module. It's no big deal.
All right. Any other questions? Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ishin, thanks. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I think you're asking is, this isn't something you just do at launch. You can do the same philosophy for any keyword, right? So say you already have your 15, it's humming along, but you have this one keyword you really want to get to page, maybe you're on page 3, go with an exact campaign. But if you want to get a keyword to page 1 and you want to hyper focus on it, you have to bid enough to get position 1, page 1, period, end of story. That's the only way you're going to do it. And it's going to cost you money. It's not free. And you can use this calculator to tell you what it's going to be. But if you were looking at this and you already had a product and you were looking at a specific keyword, and say you needed 10 sales a day, you again would change. Maybe your conversion rate's 30% now because you're an established seller. Maybe you're at the 25%. Your cost is going to be a lot less. I mean, your cost now in a 7-day period, is $500, but now you've gotten that keyword to page 1 and there's a value to that. So this is meant to be both a launch strategy, but the tool and the calculator is meant to show you what it would cost for additional keywords over time. Anyways, All right.
Cool. Yeah, no, this is awesome.
All right. And the good news is on December 8th, I think that's pretty full by now, that we're going to do, I'm going to do 3 to 5 students. We're literally going to spend 3 hours and look at their pay-per-click campaigns. I'll give them my thoughts. Everyone's going to see what I do with everybody else with that group. And then, and I put in the Facebook page what you need to do in order to be a part of that. I actually haven't looked at my messenger. I'm assuming I got a million messages today. So I think that's full. We'll do another one in January. But, well, there you go. All right.
All right, cool. If anybody doesn't have any other questions, you know, as always, if you have any questions after the webinar, just hit us up on Voxer.
Sorry about the lengthy webinar, everyone. I appreciate it. Hope it was valuable. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Take care. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I've really felt like since I've joined, this is one of the best decisions I've made in my life.
From August 2nd to September 2nd, I generated 15,000 in sales.
I did about 6K one day.
We set a goal of 300 sales in the first 2 weeks, and we met that in 8 days.
Our first 12, 13 days, we've averaged just over $1,000 per day in revenue.
Right now I've got 74 5-star reviews, bestseller ranks at 29, and I've sold in 45 days almost 500 units.
We are moving about 15 to 20 units per day right now.
We were #1 new release on Amazon within 24 hours.
So the last 12 months would have been in July. I reached I guess 6 figures.
I've seen the result and I've been very impressed.
Today actually is ironic that we're making this video because we hit our biggest numbers sales organically.
We still made 150% on our investment.
By far, the level of accountability you guys bring and support to your team it's uncanny.
What you guys are teaching us changed my life.
Just mind-blowing and very helpful in helping us launch our products.
We were able to create an entire business from scratch with no knowledge before, really, of how to sell on Amazon.
It gave us basically a roadmap to get involved in e-commerce without having to reinvent a wheel.
If I didn't have this training to follow, I'm sure it would be very difficult for me to research everything and to come up with a process that would work.
The way Mike and Matt teach is really a foolproof method.
The quality and integrity of the program is amazing. The clarity of instruction and the detail of instruction is really easy to follow along.
I've been amazed with how robust and how much information they have in their program.
I get so much information from the training videos, and it's incredible.
Love the modules that I can listen to them again and again.
The steps that are laid out are very much succinct and something that you can follow.
It really is good to just consistently go over and over and over the same the basics in order to get your business up and running.
Everything that you've taught me so far has been useful. I've used a number of it both in this side business and also at my day job.
You guys been helping me out with the Voxer talks, the live training videos that you guys have been sending me.
Learning that this even exists, learning the process and how to be successful has really been great.
I like how the information can be applied to other businesses, other online ventures that you might want to do.
We love this business for the business model.
I'm just so excited to be selling online and making money in a way that I never thought I would.
I'm just excited to get this started.
If you want free time and you know how this passive income system can work, I think you'll see the same thing.
Ultimately, we're into the things that I love, and for me personally, that's my family.
I'm just grateful for you guys. I feel like you're super positive.
One of the things that you guys do is set the tone for giving everything you've got.
You go above and beyond.
They aim to over-deliver. They don't need to do as much as they do, but they do it anyway.
Mike and Matt are just regular people. Successful, but willing to share the knowledge and help us become successful too.